How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? The Sinister of the Gamers section bringing you another interview with a dev. And like I said, I'll be your host. Now, before we get all that, be sure to drop that like button if you like the content. So, with that out of the way, go ahead and let our guest introduce himself.
Hi everyone. I'm Supersane, Junior's Round, and I'm making a VR anime game basically. And I've been a solo dev for 2 years, and
Hmm.
now I got a helper basically, which is nice.
Okay. Probably one of my questions I want to get. How'd you come up with the name Super Sane?
It is a Batman reference to Joker, basically.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's the basis behind my name Sinister is basically Mr. Sinister because of X Men.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Sinister. He's one of my favorites. He's a good guy.
Oh yeah, because I got pop figures right right on my mantle and everything. But other than that, where you from?
I was born in Philadelphia, but I was raised in Atlanta, so for the most part, I'm from here.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I have family down there in the A, so it's always cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's hot, but it's nice down here.
Yeah, yeah, I've been to Philly, but of course that was decades ago.
Right. It is a different place now,
Yeah, because
most definitely. But I like both. I like both places for different reasons.
well, that's cool. Other than that, do you have like any favorite games growing up, or what got you in the game? That's probably what I want to get at.
Man, that's tough. Okay, so I like all games. I like every game for all intents and purposes. We played a lot of Street Fighter when we were little kids.
Yeah,
GoldenEye. Uh, I mean, like I had an Atari 2600, so I'm like,
yeah, yeah, me too. Of course, it was my brother. He had it first, but then passed it down to me. So
yeah. I mean, I've been game crazy since I was a little kid. So
yeah,
yeah, fighting games and I mean FPSs, uh,
say with me.
Tony Hawk a lot, um, fighting games again probably. Yeah, yeah. Things that the my favorite games are the ones where you can't blink.
Yeah, because yeah, basic fighters. That's one of my main things. Of course, like I said, thanks to Street Fighter 2. But like before that, it's usually action games like platformers. That kind of thing, like your Mario's and maze games like Pac Man. That's
Yeah.
my
I
big
mean,
grandpa started.
I played Ninja Gaiden a lot.
Oh yes,
I had all of those Tecmo, the little Tecmo handheld ones.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I played those to death basically. But yeah,
yeah, because
all games.
I remember the arcade when before they hit the NES, and I know my brother he played it first, but he only got to the second stage. I managed to like to get further in and up until I beat it.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the games, the old ones, the new ones. I have a game problem. I have a backlog that is terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah. My backlog gets crazy like that. But other than that, tell us about your company, Dream Cell. Like, when was that established, and
It's
how did?
it's Super Saiyan.
Mhm.
Super Saiyan is the company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Basically, I had a friend of mine who passed, and we were doing like when we were little kids, we always like came up with anime stories and like
Hmm.
ideas for animes and stuff like that. So I did the story that he always wanted me to do, basically, and that's it's really nice to do. And like the anime parts are all hand drawn, and then all of the 3D stuff is done in Unreal, and then I just composite everything on top of each other to make it look right. Which is, I mean, I didn't realize how much work animation is, like hand drawn animation, but
Yeah, that was
you
the
know
old
it.
school way.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the look that I wanted, and it's the the vibe, like and everything. It's a like it's basically like fan service for like every robot anime like
Oh,
ever.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the first project that you worked on?
First project.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, you mean game or you
Game
mean
wise, like anything, game wise, like.
a lot of corporate stuff,
Mhm.
like Cheerios, like the DVDs that come with like cereal boxes and stuff like that. We did a lot of
Mhm.
that corporate stuff. When I went to school, I went to a school called Full Sail, and the first engine that we learned was this engine called Game Maker, and
Mhm.
like Game Maker, actually no, not Game Maker, Renderware. That's what it was called. Yeah, that really doesn't exist anymore. Like the only like derivative of that is kind of like the Grand Theft Auto engine,
Yeah.
basically. But nobody uses that engine. It was like an old school, terrible corporate engine for like corporate stuff. But I've been doing. I did corporate up until like 7 years ago,
Hmm.
and then I just went full time, indie basically, and then I've just been doing like a bunch of prototypes and like concept stuff, visualization stuff in Unreal, everything like that, and then just been slowly learning the engine, you know. And now that I know it for all intents and purposes, this is my like when I say game, like when I think of a game, I mean like not a terrible corporate thing, but
Right.
and I don't mean like terrible, you know what I mean, like not an actual game like made by
Right.
a game company. Um, this is my second game. The first one was like it was a 2D. It was kind of like Blaze Blue, but like a single player game. It was actually like, have you seen that Trek to Yomi game, the
Yes.
black and white samurai game? It was just
Yes.
like that, except if the people who made Blaze Blue made it instead of
All the art system works.
right, like the combo system and the combat system was like really elaborate and complicated and everything, and that's the first time I tried to do an all anime game, like an anime
Uh-huh.
themed game, and I realized that I just need more people to draw, because drawing uh, like 4K at 60 frames per second
Right.
in line art is ridiculous. It's like it's a whole thing. So and then the move set ended up getting more and more elaborate. So it's like the main character has like a Devil May Cry move set. So
Right.
his move set is like 100 moves for all intents and purposes. And then all these other enemies with different enemy types, they all have their own move set. So it turned into a thing. So I switched over to this game because I could do 2D for the artwork and the assets and production stuff, and then 3D
Hmm.
for everything else.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, what's the plot line behind the game that you're the
Okay,
second game?
so this game basically, so Bakemono is about all right, in my world, the pilots, you know how like in Gundam games, the
Hmm.
pilots, they call them new types for all intents and
Yeah.
purposes. Like there's always they're always like advanced humans for all intents. In my story, they're not like that. They're called EMP charged pilots, so they're basically hypersensitive for all intents
Hmm.
and purposes. Like they're empaths, all of them, and then they get genetically modified, so they enhance that empathic ability to the point where you can sense like the threat of violence, or like stuff like that, because basically moving at the speeds that you move in space, the humans would have to be like real space combat is so fast, you know what I mean?
You're
And
right.
you're like, you're in the middle of nowhere or whatever. You would need some kind of way, like some spidey sense, basically, to be able to pick up on somebody like vectoring in towards you.
Right.
So what they've done is like in the same way that like Neon Genesis, like all the kids are,
All the
you know,
mechs, and Robotech and Maycroft. Well,
right,
basically
right.
they're the same one.
Yeah, and basically like it's like a friend of mine said it's ghetto Gundam. Like he was like, I was like, that's a pretty good term, but the story is it's Gundam and like City of God mixed together, basically. Like
Right.
is the best way to explain it. And there's a whole class system, and there's a whole bounty hunter. Like there's a bounty hunter like credit system,
Right.
right? And then like Earth, the way Earth is set up is like Earth is has a royal, hierarchy, like kings and
Right.
like like Out of Noah Zero. Have you seen Out of Noah Zero?
I heard of it, but I never didn't get to see it.
Well, like have you ever seen any of the animes where basically like there's a democratic government, but then there's like a
Yeah.
feudal style,
Yes. Yeah. I've
like
seen
the
those.
knights,
Hmm.
right? So basically, all the rich people live on Earth because Earth is nice and it's got free air and water and sunlight
Right.
and all that stuff, and all the poor people live on the arcs that float around the Earth,
Uh-huh.
and then they use those as like proxies. So like, you know what I mean? So like they like the life of a Earth person is worth like 10 times the life of a drifter, basically.
Yes.
It's like the Expanse.
Yeah, I
right?
got you.
So, and basically, you're a contractor, and it's your job to protect the the Earth Federation's property.
Well,
And
that's cool.
then there's Mars. Mars attacks, basically. Mars
Yeah.
attacks. Like the Mars government just goes by Mars, like
Right.
MARS, like and then they have this whole uh, Viking like caste system for like their warriors and all this stuff. But you know how like the best way to explain it is like Mars acts like Texas. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
so basically they attack Earth because they want their resources and everything.
right.
And then there's a terrorist attack. Like when they drop the colony on the planet type
Right.
thing, they have a terrorist attack and they attack North America, right?
Right.
So they attack middle North America, and then North America loses the majority of its, like the breadbasket for all intents. So they can't
Yep.
produce food and everything. So because it was a terrorist attack, what happens is they have these rallies called hate offs.
Right.
They're like basically pet rallies where all the people who were lost family members like in the attack, they come and then they like pour all of their negative energy into the pilots, and then the pilots store all that energy and then they take it in the battle and they fight each other.
All right. That sounds cool. Basically, what's the gameplay like?
Okay, gameplay wise, it is first person. So it's a first person, VR game.
Mhm.
Uh, I will say that like if you just started doing VR, or if it's like your first week or 2 weeks, do not play the game. It's for someone who has more advanced, like they've gotten their VR legs for all intents and purposes. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, but yeah, okay. So you're in the robot's body. There's two modes right now. There's a pilot mode where it's effectively like Lone Echo.
Yeah.
You just your hand over handing, like spacewalking in space.
Yeah.
And then the main mode is you're actually in the robot. And while you're in the robot, the way you control the robot is like uh, Pacific Rim. So
Oh,
like
like the yeah, with the Jaegers.
yeah, so you move your hands and it moves its hands, right?
Yeah.
What I did was I superimposed the controllers on top of everything, so you can see it all the time.
Right.
But basically, like the within the meta of the world, like you're using the VR controllers to control the robot, and you're sitting inside of the robot, and then it presents its vision to you. So it's not like like there are a lot of VR games right now where you use joysticks to
Yeah.
control them, but they what they can do in terms of like interacting with the game is very simple. You know what I mean? Like you can shoot, you can jump, you can move around. What I wanted to do was like a full like a crazy ridiculous anime style game, like Majestic Prince or like you know what I mean, like a gun like Robotech. You
Right.
know what I mean? Where you're flying at the person like and you bouncing off of each other like pinballs and you're flying all over the place trying to kill
Right.
each other. And to do that, basically, I had to be able to use your hands. You know what I mean? As opposed to using controllers like robot jocks to make you,
Right.
do what you wanted to do. So, in terms of gameplay, I would say it's Doom Eternal because you can move around in first person, you can
Right.
dash, you can air dash, you can double jump, and all that stuff. You can wall run, you can bunny hop, and standard walking mode, and then the flying is like Armor Core for answer
Hmm.
basically. And you once you hit the flight mode button, you can move forward, backwards, up, down, left, right. Like you have full, six depth of field.
360 degrees.
Yes, you can move in any direction. You can move forward. Like you can be shooting backwards and moving forward. You can be shooting over your shoulder. You can block stuff over your back. You know what I mean? Like all kinds of cool stuff. So basically I wanted it to be like if you've ever seen Macross Plus.
Oh yes, that's one
Okay.
of my favorites.
Yeah, that's I built like the fighting around Isamu's fight. Like that fight where they're fighting through the city and they're
Yeah.
like trying to kill each other and they're blowing up all the windows and stuff.
Yes.
That's literally what I built. Like I wanted to be able to do that. So you can shoot a million missiles at the other guy. The enemy robots can shoot like 20 missiles at you. They all have the the anime stream, cloud thing or whatever. I can't what do they call that? I think it's the Itagi Circus. It's the name of the guy who made it,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, like all the missiles do that vector thing. You can explode them all. You've got two pistols. You've got two two sabers,
Right.
plasma sabers, right? You've got an assault rifle over your shoulder. I have a plasma rifle, but I haven't put it in yet. And then you have a retractable rocket launcher that sits in a
Okay.
harness, like the
Hmm.
Zaku's from Gundam, basically.
Yes.
And you can just grab it and then fire and then let go, and it'll retract. But you can play it like that, like you can play it like Doom if you want to. But what I was trying to do is I was trying to merge that and I was trying to merge Devil May Cry together at the same time. So
Also
it's
hack and slashing.
yeah, so it's basically all of those things at the same time while you're flying.
Okay.
So you can lock on. To lock onto an enemy, you close your left hand when you don't have anything in it.
Yeah.
You have a grapple because the only way to do combos would be I'd have to be able to grapple two people. So
Right.
I have the whole Devil May Cry polarity thing. Like if you double tap, it'll grab, but if you single tap, it'll switch from pulling the enemy to you or you
Okay.
pulling yourself to them,
Right.
basically. And then I've got the Devil May Cry. Like I got the uppercut. You can uppercut them, and then I've got the pistol bouncing, so you can uppercut somebody and then pistol bounce them.
Right.
You can uppercut somebody, and then if you look at them after the uppercut and then jump, you'll teleport to them. So I like is you can wall kick people. If you single tap kick, you'll low kick them, like
Right.
kick them in the stomach, and they'll bend over.
Oh, that's cool.
If you double tap kick, you will jump kick them, and then jump kicks you can knock the enemies in the walls. You can jump kick flying enemies. You
Right.
can uppercut flying enemies. You can parry them.
Right.
They can parry you. So yeah, basically, I wanted to make like the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah. It's like is there like any like destructible damage like to the environment as you fight your enemies or things like that?
Yes, there's a lot of destructibles in the environment.
Oh, that's cool.
Right now, I've got like oil and gas and energy, generators that'll blow up. I've
Right.
got lights, like all the lights blow up. There are like barracks
Hmm.
for the human-sized enemies because you're like 3 stories tall, basically.
Right.
And there are barracks for the human enemies. You can blow those up. There's a whole lot of ships. There are sea vessel ships that have turrets on them that you can blow up the turrets and the ships separately. There are ships. There are capital ships that fly. So there are boards where you're like above the water. There are boards when you're like you have an objective. There are boards when there's zero gravity when you're in space, and then there are boards when you're like on different planets and whatnot. So the capital ships, you can cut them with the saber,
Oh, that's
like
cool.
like and they'll it slices like where you slice it at. It doesn't like just arbitrarily break into a million pieces, which is awesome. Um, all the enemies, if you hit them with the saber, they actually cut, which was the whole thing. There are big mechs, like big RoboCop looking, biped mechs that have
Oh, so,
Gatling guns on them.
oh, you're like almost like Ted, like Ed 209.
Yes, yes. Like I mean, it's like I had to put every like childhood '80s thing into it. So there are big capital ships that you can't cut because they're so big, but you
Right.
can run on top of them. You know what I mean? Like you can run on any of the ships while they're
Right.
moving, which is awesome. There are tanks. There are hover tanks that they're like kind of like the Covenant tanks from Halo.
Yeah.
There are generators that are hooked up to force fields that you have to take them all down to get knock down the thing. I
Right.
got an obligatory spiders tank fight. Like a big spider tank that has a bunch of turrets and guns on it. It's just like every cool thing, you know what I mean? And then every good fight from uh, Zone of the Enders or
Yes.
Omega Boost or Armor Core. And yeah, I was like, I want to make Devil May Cry and Armor Core and put them into one thing.
Yeah. See, you have a lot of inspirations in there. This is another thing. Is this single player? Like, or Is there like co-op or anything? Or,
Right now, it's single player only because like I looked at VR in general, and there's not a lot of single player games. You know what I mean? And like a lot of in terms of mechanics, well, yeah, a lot of like I'm not gonna say mechanics, but like the systems of the
right.
game, you know, came from me playing like Armored Core forever, and you know, like a lot of people want those types of mech games to come back, and like nobody's really like doing anything with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went really far with like all the systems and everything. Like for example, like the bullets and like collide with each other.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? Like just like how Armored Core was. Like the when you like there's a part in Armored Core where you're fighting this dude and he shoots missiles at you, but if you
Uh-huh.
have machine guns, you can blow them all up before they get to you and they hurt
Yeah.
him. Like they all that crazy stuff in their stats and the way like the different projectiles interacted with each other and everything. Like I thought
Right.
all of that was like really cool. You know what I mean? And now FromSoft only does like Demon Souls and you know those games now, so they don't want to do robots. So I figured it'd be cool to put it in there.
Yeah.
And then like there are like 10 boss fights basically that I
Okay.
got that I've done. There are four of them in the game right now, and then the other six are like they're in there but they're hidden because they're not finished yet. But yeah, I mean, I played a whole lot of Armor Core. I played a whole lot of Zone of the Enders 1 and 2. I played Omega Boost a whole lot. Uh, Pot Labor, like Pot Labor is awesome. So yeah, just I mean, if it has robots in it, I played it. So
Yeah, I was gonna. The next question is like, I mean, how much of this game have you progressed on it, like percentage wise?
at this point, I'd say 70%. I mean, the rest of it is me getting the store, like
Okay.
like for parts. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like switching out the parts and everything, finishing the boss fights, and then doing animations
All
and
right.
like voiceovers and
What platform are you putting this on? Like PC or
it's
console?
so it's right now it's PC. It's on Steam right now for early access. When I get we're actually like doing the whole publishing thing, like doing the publisher talks now. Once I
Okay.
get that set up, basically I'm gonna do Steam and Quest, right? So okay, so you do so Steam, then SideQuest, then AppLab, then Meta, official,
Right.
then PlayStation VR. Probably by then it would be the two, and then go from there. And then they just announced that Pico, so that's a whole nother market. I don't know how that works yet.
Oh yeah. Speaking of PSVR, of course, that's what I have because I have like Zone of the Enders Mars, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm playing that because I played it in both modes, like normal mode. Then I played it again, but with the VR, like it was cool being in the mech and seeing and watching the cutscenes, and of course, anybody that knows Gradius, Big Viper's in there because you get to fight him, and later on you
Yeah,
can unlock him. I
yeah.
think,
I like the Anubis fight in VR. The Anubis fight in VR is really nice. And
yeah,
like it's really awesome when you go back and you play those because in your mind, like you make it like really complicated and elaborate, and then you go back and you play and you're like, oh, this is just like a skybox with some stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's very, very helpful because I tend to get carried away. Like
right,
I tend to target like what is it, Call of Duty
right.
level, like fidelity, and then I go back and I play like all the old games and I realize like I'm stressing out for no reason. It's the whole thing. But yeah, Zone of Enders is awesome. Like I've played it on the PlayStation VR and I played it on Steam.
Yeah, because I never like seen it on Steam and seen that VR how that process is going. And of course, I've tried it on PlayStations to see how
Mm-hmm.
that is. But so your experience with Unreal Engine is like, was it tricky at first, or just probably experiment until you got used to it? That kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, pretty much. I've been working in Unreal every day for the last 5 years.
Is this like
And
Unreal Engine 4? Or
yes. Like we're on 427. Like I have a five build, but there's so much stuff in five that isn't ready yet. So
right?
it wasn't. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, that's probably like that.
I get swap over to five and then the game wouldn't come out till next year.
Right. No, I mean, pretty much understand it. You probably like, I'll say that down the road, and
Yeah. I
you
mean,
just want to
like
get it.
I'm gonna definitely do a sequel. Like when I first launched it, it had 11 missions, and now I
Right.
have too many. Like I have 37 in the game right now, and then I probably have another 30 that I deactivated, basically.
Right.
And in terms of file size, I don't want to do that to people. Like I don't want to, you know.
Overwhelming with file size. Yeah.
Yeah. I like, and all the publishers are like, well, you can do DLC, you can do this, and I'm like, I don't want to do all that, but I don't want to assume that you want 45 missions or 50 missions or whatever, especially like because the VR game file sizes are kind of big right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Asgard's Wrath was like 87 gigs. Half Life Alex is like 67, something like that. And like right now I'm at like 28. So you know what I mean? I'm trying not to like throw a bunch of stuff. I might make it like DLC that you can download for free.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right now the way it's broken up is I've got training, which was those tutorials were built like just like Armor Core, like
Right.
the way the Armor Core ones are, like turn left 3 times, turn right 3 times, like that, like success every time. But I had to learn that like we're old now, like you know what I'm saying, like we're boomers now basically, and like the younger kids that they don't have the patience to do those types of tutorials
Yeah.
like at all, and they basically like we ever since Halo did the Halo format, like
Yeah.
now what you do is like you have a soft tutorial where like you're playing the actual story, but they give you an opportunity to like focus on one element at a time. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
They
it
get a
trains you.
they get a feel for it.
Right. And yeah, that's like a lot of production work basically. So uh, that was the main thing that we got back was like everybody was like, this is a lot. Like it's a whole lot in this game. You know what I mean? Because and I do understand that because a lot of VR games right now are like mechanically very simple.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have a sword, you hit something, you got guns, you shoot stuff. You usually stand in one place for all intents and purposes. You don't move that fast. You know what I mean? Like my locomotion speed is stupid fast, so that's the whole thing. Um, so what we did was is that we made like I made 7 levels basically,
Right.
and they're like fully voiced and everything. And you have to like, one step at a time learn,
Right.
like what to do. As opposed to me just throwing you having, like being able to fly and shoot and
Yeah.
run and bunny hop and jump all over the place. You know what I mean? All at once. Like
Right.
it was too overwhelming for a lot of folks. So yeah, like now you start off you start off now as a pilot. Like you don't even start as the mech. You know what I mean? Like you start off small. So you have
Yeah.
to
Basically, crawl before you walk.
yeah, and just one thing at a time. And we work our way up to playing the way that like I do. And that was another thing. Like people look at the videos where I play, and it's like I'm the developer, like it's my game,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, that's amazing," and then they go play, and then they're like not doing what I'm doing, and then they get mad. So that was another thing. Is like making better tutorials that explain the mechanics in greater detail, but it being engaging and not in that old school Japanese way where
You're right.
you got 30 bullet points or whatever that you have to go through. Um, so yeah, that was very challenging because that's like modern game design versus old school game design, and
Yeah.
like I there's a lot of games that like everybody tells me are amazing that I haven't gotten through yet because they have like a 6 hour intro or a 9 hour intro. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like I want to play the game basically. Like Last of Us, I
Right.
have one, I have two, I have the remaster, I have all of, and I keep getting to the same point
Hmm.
and then stopping because it's like I want to actually play it. And everybody's like, yeah, once you get past that part, and that happens with animes a lot. Like
Right.
like there are a lot of animes you got to watch like 7 episodes before it gets.
Yeah, because that's for me. I like to watch like certain series and stuff like watch from the beginning. That way, I get a
Yeah,
full understanding of what's going on instead of like jumping right in the middle and be all confused. Like, huh?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, as far as like the Last of Us, like the very first one, that's definitely one of my favorites of the two because we talked about it on the podcast yesterday because we agree, we kind of agree. Well, of course, for me, speaking for me, playing the first one, I enjoyed the story. The
Hmm.
gameplay is decent.
Hmm.
Playing, yeah, and moving on to part two, the only thing positive I can give is the graphics and the gameplay. The story was suspect, but it was over. But I mean, not just me, but
Right.
like after like everybody, almost everybody and their mom was like, "What, Joe got killed?" But I was like, "Well," I'm like, but I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. As far as like your crew, how many like, does it take? Just to create games. Like, how many do you have like working on this?
Oh, it was literally just me for forever, and then like maybe a year ago, I got enough money to get like this guy on Upwork,
Uh huh.
and he I give him like 5 hours a week basically, or like when I can't think anymore, or for something that's like really hard, like I'll be like, please do this for me because I'm gonna go to sleep for an hour or two. But
I know.
yeah, it was just I was doing solo dev for a year and a half, and that was a lot.
I mean, it's like one of those growing pains. Like, hey, it's like it's just you. You gotta do everything. You got so many hats. Like, you're
It's very.
artist. You gotta do
I mean, it's
voiceover.
it's it's fun, but it's very stressful because I
Yeah,
mean it's a whole thing. But I'm getting used to it. Everybody now says they say I work too much, so I need to like
hey,
I don't
keep
know.
your
Like
mind busy.
I can't tell what's too much at this point right now because like I've been on crunch for like a year basically. So, but yeah, I mean it's I'm very passionate about the project. Obviously, I'm very passionate about the anime part.
Right,
Like even though I really don't even have to do that part. You know what I mean? But it is like important, and they do go together. You know what I
right,
mean? Um, when I first put it in the early access, like I was more focused on the gameplay stuff because
yeah,
I wanted more time to get all that together.
yeah,
But yeah, doing hand drawn animation just takes forever. There's
right,
a lot of different animation houses that
mhm.
have contacted me for all intents and purposes, and they showed a lot of interest. There was one that did the Castlevania stuff
Oh
for
yeah,
Netflix. Yeah, I mean, and they're awesome. It's just I got it as soon as I get a budget, man. I'm gonna get it. But yeah, for like 6 months, I was doing like 12 hours a day every day,
right,
and then like before that, sometimes you would work for like 3 or 4 days straight. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole thing. Like I'll forget to eat if my son is in here. Like that's why it's very important that I keep him around because he reminds me to do stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of work. Like
right.
I've had every job on the face of the earth, and this is the most work I've ever done. But it's worth it. The
Yeah, I can imagine like working on this game because I'm sure like for your presentation purpose, like you probably got the cutscenes, probably explaining the story and things like that.
mhm.
Was that like the most challenging part that you had to do since you had to do the hinge on animation and everything?
I mean, like, so game dev is something that insane people do, and then animation is something that insane people do. And I was like, I'm gonna do both of them at the same time. Like it was, but then like I mean, it's worked so far, but yeah, it's not something that I would recommend people do if they have an option to do something else.
Right,
But yeah, I mean, I this is something I've always wanted to do.
right,
You know what I mean? And I was gonna do it no matter what. And
right,
then like me making a promise to my friends that I was gonna do it, kind of cemented that for all intents and purposes.
right.
But yeah, man, it's a lot of work. Like with animation, I
Mhm,
mean, I have the animation Bible, like the white one that everybody
mhm.
recommends. I have a lot of animation keyframe books that I got, like that you buy from overseas or whatever.
Yes,
Uh, they're very, very helpful. They explain a lot. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense to me at all because like it's in all Japanese. So you're
yeah.
just kind of like,
I know it feels like you have to get your phone and get the translator to see to
right.
understand what
Like
they're
it's yeah,
saying.
it's a whole thing. But yeah, like I can't imagine doing it the old way.
Mhm.
Like the fact that we have Photoshop and Clip Studio and all that. Like I
Right.
can't like the just watching them do it on paper. Like
It's overwhelming.
yeah, it's a lot. And then like it's weird because it's like it's just you.
Right.
So it's like if you suck, you suck. Like you just sit there with it, like until it looks right. Like you know what
Mhm.
I mean? And that's like a whole nother thing. But yeah, like I'm I've gotten a whole lot better at game dev. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty good at it now, which is awesome. I I did a lot of web design and
Right.
like back end stuff and Flash and ActionScript and everything.
Yeah, the old school. Yeah, I remember the
Yeah,
Flash
ActionScript
days.
was the first language I really learned, like for
Mhm.
real, for real. So like everything to me is like, how do I do that thing from Flash and the new
Right.
thing? Unreal is very, very similar. You know what I mean? Like it's basically 3D Flash for all intents and purposes. Like they got blueprints, and once you figure out how the blueprints work, you can pretty much get away with anything.
All right.
Um, I don't know any C at all, like none, like none. Like I
Sure.
could probably like, you know what I mean? Like I can Google something, but for the most part, like I do everything in blueprints, and I get the performance that I want, which is kind of amazing. I mean, I
Right.
have cheated a lot, like to get.
I mean, it's like method to the madness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like the thing about VR is like, because it's displaying the image twice.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're using up double the performance, basically. So until they get that foveated rendering thing,
Right.
like basically, eventually it'll be wherever you look at, uh, that'll be the maximum rendered area. But then over here will be blurry. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, until they get that working, the entire area has to be rendered, like in
Right.
maximum detail. So a lot of stuff gets. That's why the file size is so big. You know
Right.
what I mean? But
Um. Yeah. Oh yeah. Before you move on, one question I do ask, like, are do you plan on like doing like a non VR version, or just you're just gonna just leave it at VR
for
as
this
is?
one is VR only
Okay.
because it wouldn't work in
Right.
any other way. Like it's literally a fighting game. You're like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like you can play it like it's just a first person shooter. You can play it and fly around and use your assault rifle and stay at distance. But it's really built to have those stupid anime fights where like you knock the guy through the building and then he knocks you through the building and then y'all.
See explosions going off and
Yeah, like it's supposed to be the full, like the whole thing. And there was no way I could do that if you couldn't sword fight.
right.
You know what I mean? Like I want later on. I'm gonna like I got a drill. Like I have a freaking like a hand drill thing that you
Yeah.
can like shoot drills at people. Like I got hatchets. Like like the glowing old school hatchet and everything. It's just like if you can't fight like really fight like it wasn't gonna be the whole experience. It was gonna be half. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I wanted the whole thing. So right now the sabers like they cut on and off.
You
You
got
know what I mean? Like with the triggers. Uh, so you can do combos like you can grab your saber, cut it on, uppercut a person. Whenever you let go of things, it
yeah.
automatically teleports back to your waist.
Right.
Um, Before I had it so it would fall, but if you're like a mile up in the sky and you drop your guns, like the game's over. Um, you can uppercut a person, you can let go of it, it'll teleport back to your hand. And then you can
Right.
grab your gun and then you can pistol juggle them, right? Then jump up to the person, teleport to them, and then grab your sabers and keep doing combos. Or you could do that and then grapple them back to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the whole Devil May Cry Dante loop is the
Yeah.
thing that I was trying to replicate. Like it was that, and then like a little bit of Tony Hawk. You know what I mean? In the sense that like you can do rails and jump from wall runs and do bunny hops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was trying to do something where it would be a performance. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like anytime you played it and you did something cool, you would want to record it. You would want to show it to other people. You know what I mean? Like because whatever you did was awesome. Like uh, I was playing at one point and like you can hear the rail cannons
Right.
on the Fireland ships. You can hear them spool up before they shoot you.
Yeah.
And like I took the shield because the shield's like magic,
Mhm.
sci-fi shield basically.
Yeah.
And it appears and disappears with the button
Hmm.
basically. And I I took the shield and I blocked the rail cannon like from behind, like you know what I mean, like a no look, like
Like
I,
it's almost like
yeah,
you have spider sense. You know something's behind you, and you just
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah, yeah, and it was amazing, like you know what I mean, it's the stuff like that, like or when you're fighting somebody and
right,
when you're fighting another
right,
air mech, and they're you know, like if y'all both swing at the same time, you know, you'll knock each other away from each other. If you counteract a swing with more force than they do, you'll
Right.
parry them. And if you parry them, it goes into bullet time, basically.
Well,
You know
that's
what I mean?
cool.
So like parrying one of them in the middle of the air and then like grappling them to you and then drop kicking them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it seems like you have like a certain moment, like when the parry goes into slow mo. It's like, hey, you got like a certain amount of time to do what you need to do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, we're adding this. I don't know if you played what is it called? After Until You Fall.
Yes,
It's a VR game. You know, like the blocking system they have.
yes.
Basically, that's something that we're adding to. So you'll be able to trade back and forth with like the flying ones. But yeah, man, it's just like maximum anime coolness is what I was going for.
All right.
So
And my final question is like, what do you plan on? When's the game gonna be finished? Or, when you
okay,
ready to go?
so as of right now, I'm the only person, you know, working on it, and I'm the only person paying for it. So it's whenever it's done. The actual schedule like that we have once we get a publisher is 6 months. So
Okay.
you know, like, and we're basically I submitted the game 60 days ago,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, "Oh, this is awesome," but like this is a lot. You know what I mean? And it was like there's a lot to understand. There's a lot to unpack, and like I don't know. I guess I take like the normal gamer, like
Uh-huh.
the fact that we've been playing games like for 20 years straight. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I take that for granted. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when you put it up to like because VR is such a new medium, it's a lot of people playing VR that aren't traditional gamers,
Right.
basically. So they need a lot more, you know, like exposition. They need a lot
Yeah.
more. You know what I mean? Like you got to break all the mechanics down. You have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Especially like for the new generation, like older generation, like someone like me.
yeah,
I can fully understand it. You know, I can go
right,
through the
right. Because
advanced.
you can think about the 20 years worth of games you played in your life and be like, oh, this is like so and so, and you
Right.
know what I mean? Like you've also got 20 years of experience. Like you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But the younger kids, they just want the satis. They want the the good feeling faster,
Yeah. The
right?
fast paced action, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So they want to get into it immediately. So you know what I mean? Like I basically have to force them to focus because like that was another thing. Like I look like a lot of people didn't do the original tutorial at all,
Right.
but then like they would go on the forum and be like, I don't understand how to do anything. I'm like, there's a 32-step tutorial
Yeah.
and then we
That's
explain it to you. But a friend of mine, he was like, but you didn't do the Halo thing, and I was like, what do you mean? He was like, yeah, like you should go back and play Halo again. So I played Halo Master Collection on heroic,
uh-huh.
some of them on legendary, and then some of them on medium, whatever
Yeah.
that's called.
Well, it's
And then
just basically normal.
right, and I realized like if you play it at the beginning on heroic, they
Yeah.
skip a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like in the first ship, the whole calibration sequence where they
Yeah.
ask you to look up and look left and everything,
Yeah.
and then if you want your controls to be inverted and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And then in that the first mission where you're like when the Master Chief's on the ship by himself,
Yeah.
um, if you play it on medium, they don't give you grenades
No.
because they don't trust you because they're like if we give you grenades, you're gonna blow yourself up. If you
Right.
play it on heroic, then you get all the weapons from the jump. I
Yeah.
also realized that like certain weapons in Halo, like the gun they'll give you in the first
Mhm.
sequence will be
Yeah.
stronger than the normal gun. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like they do a lot of stuff like that, like secret stuff to make you
Mhm.
feel like you're the shit, basically.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, you didn't do any of that stuff. And I was like, what? He's like, there's a whole part of Halo where it's a bunch of enemies shooting at you and they can't really hurt you. And I was like, what? Like, I was like, I don't remember that. Cause I just like Halo to me doesn't even start until you're running around looking for your friends.
Yeah.
You
And
see
of
what I'm
course
saying?
you
Like,
run. Yeah. Then you run into the covenant, like you run into the
right,
grunts
like
and
the first hour, like so, like when you're running around and Keys gives you the gun and all that, like
yeah.
I just blanked all that out. You know what I mean? It's like so when I went back, I was like, okay, I see what you mean. And because VR is such a new medium and people are motion sick anyway, like a lot of
Right.
people are on the motion sickness. I mean, like I was when I first started. Like when I first got a VR headset, it took me like 2 weeks
Mhm.
to get used to it.
Yeah.
Um, but like I forced myself. Like I did. Like I was like, all right, we're gonna start with the easy baby games, and we're gonna just
Move your way up.
yeah. And I mean, like now I can play anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the games where you fly around like Spider-Man, the games where you're, you know, all over the place. But yeah, so being mindful of, because it's a new medium combined with the fact that it's got complex mechanics to it, like I had to go back and do a lot more explanation, and that's what the last 60 days and plus, so 2 months, 6 weeks basically, you
Right.
know, like redoing all the tutorials, getting voiceovers for them,
Uh-huh.
building levels that, you know, incrementally get more difficult,
Right.
um, explaining all the mechanics, making like all the graphics that explain all the
Right.
mechanics, yeah, all that good stuff. Which I mean, it's ultimately it makes the game better, you know, which is awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, whenever you get it done, I definitely want to, be the honor to play it, try it out. It's like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I
yeah, because,
sent I sent keys. I sent you guys 2 keys
oh,
for it.
okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, just like definitely let me know. I need as much feedback as I can get.
Oh, yeah,
Like
no
I've
doubt.
got a lot of people playing it, but they're not like dedicated, you know, like gameplay testers all the time like we are. And it's basically me and a friend of mine, like always trying to break the game to figure out
Yeah,
what's
no,
going on. But I mean, it's in a really good place now. We added a rookie mode where basically, like, if you go in the rookie mode, the flight speed is
uh-huh.
reduced by 45%. So
Right.
you know, if you don't feel like, if you feel like it's too fast, you know what I mean, you can go in the rookie mode and cut that on. We cut on. We added a like a vignette, like so. That's an option. Like you can cut the vignette on, and then every time you move, you know, the
Right.
vignette shows up. That helps with motion sickness. Uh, I mean, I optimized it to death. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the performance is like double basically. There were a
Right.
lot of levels that were running at like 16 milliseconds, and now they run at like 8, which is awesome. Um, yeah, I added some more levels. I made a bunch of wall running levels that you know that we just wall running them, like, you know what I mean, like, so they're
Wall run like Ryu on Ninja Gaiden.
yes, yes, like or Titanfall, you know,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, basically you can wall run on anything.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, okay. So there's two modes. There's flight mode, and then there's, you know, on ground mode. And in ground mode, you can wall run, you can bunny hop, you can do all like you can do all kinds of stuff. But then you can also switch back and forth
Right.
because so a way to like move really fast
Yeah.
that I don't really explain to anyone is that, like, you can go into flight mode and you can move forward. Like if you double tap in any direction, you'll dash,
Right.
right? If you press down on your left stick, you will boost,
Hmm.
right? So you can boost for a certain period of time before, you know, your gas runs out, but then
Yeah.
you get double jumps, right? So like, but like in Doom, you know how I play like Doom a lot. I play
Mhm.
Ultra Kill a lot, like the really fast, you know, shooter games.
Yeah.
Um, and in those games, and I also play like a lot of Arc System fighting games. Like I play Blaze Blue to death. I play
I mean, yeah, like them, Guilty Gear series. I
yes,
mean,
like
yes.
yes, all of those games I'm obsessed with. Melty Blood, I play that. Like, you know what I mean. So like all of those things I wanted together. You know what I mean. So
Right.
you can air dash, you can dash in any direction, you can do the boost thing. But if you switch between wall running, jumping from wall to wall, and then you double jump in between, you can
Mhm.
accelerate faster and faster,
Right.
basically. So, like, for example, flying from one side of the board to the other, holding boost down the whole
Right.
way is fast. But if you wall run from one side to the other, you'll get there faster. If you bunny hop, if you cut your flight mode off while
Yeah.
you're in the air, like so if you're sitting perfectly still and you cut your
Mhm.
flight mode off, you'll fall straight down, right? That's a nice way to like avoid missiles, for
Right.
example, things like that, or like to confuse, you know, enemy pilots, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then if you switch into ground mode while you're in the air, you can do all the wall running and the bunny hopping thing. So you can bunny hop twice and then switch back into flight mode and then glide and then switch it off and then, you know what I mean. So you can do that for forever, basically. So it's like a bunch of little locomotion tricks that I added.
Right.
for you, like, you know, if you really want to go that far,
All
basically.
right.
But yeah, like it's, and then there's a scoring system for like movement and for kills and combos and like right now there's not rails in it, like you
Mm-hmm.
can't grind the rails like Tony Hawk, but that's something I'm gonna add like later on. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, basically it'll turn into like how ridiculous can your performance be for that level,
All
basically.
right.
Um, and yeah, it's really fun. It's I tried to make it as like crazy as possible. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that, you know, like for VR,
Mm-hmm.
that might be kind of difficult for some of the stuff because I know a lot of stuff is built based on comfort settings.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But like I wanted that fight from Robotech, so I couldn't really I couldn't be worried about comfort settings and
Right.
do that at the same time. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because nobody normal would do that anyway.
I mean, everyone's different.
Yeah, so you know, but I mean, it's good fun. And to answer your previous question, right now it's single player,
Right.
right? But I am going to do one versus one. Um,
Okay.
you know what I mean, for this one, and then for the sequel, it'll be three versus three because I've got like team formations and all kind. You know what I mean? Like
Well, that's awesome.
yeah, like all kinds of crazy stuff. But that one I wanted to do three versus three, and it'd be more like how Damon X Machina is.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like if I can do six versus six, maybe, but I mean like with networking and the fact that it's probably gonna, you know, like I'm gonna want it to be on the Quest, obviously. Three versus three is a lot safer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've seen um like the dudes who are doing Iron Rebellion, like
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty cool dudes. And they were doing three versus three at first and they got theirs up to four versus four. And I've seen some games that are really low poly do six versus six. But for the like the look that I'm going for, I think three versus three would be best, and the speed that I'm going
Right.
for because the game is pretty fast. It's one of the fastest games I've seen like for VR so far. Cause like I didn't think I could get away with it until Sariento came out, and then when
Right.
Sariento came out, I was like, okay, cool. Like I can push it a little bit faster
All right.
than that game. Cause Sariento is amazing.
All right.
It's like the Matrix simulator or whatever.
All right. That's all the questions I have. I mean, like I said, I mean, Super Saiyan is like, it's a pleasure interviewing you.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, like before we, head out, yeah, just tell people where they can find you. You like if you have social media, go ahead and give those out.
Yeah, okay. Primarily, I put everything on Twitter.
Hmm.
My Twitter is Super Saiyan Games.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's Super Saiyan underscore games. I also have an Instagram. It's Super Saiyan Games. The Super Saiyan Games website is supersaiyan.com for the website, and then the game is on Steam right now, early access, and it's Bakemono. So Bakemono, Japanese for monster. And yeah, it's a VR mech game, and we're gonna have a massive update in a few days, which will be very,
Awesome.
very awesome. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to know what everybody thinks.
All right. Yeah, to anybody out there, yeah, just like you said, just follow them on Twitter, Super Saiyan Games. The story. Follow them on Twitter. But other than that, this concludes our interview. Like I said, I'm your host, Sinister of the Gamer Section. You can follow me on my social media. Of course, my Twitter handle is right there in front of you, Country19. I'm also on Instagram at Senator1019. And like I said, we out, folks.